Happy Sunday, people. So today, the day has finally come that I'm indeed going to repot the fig tree. So you can see the fig tree here. It looks very nice, very healthy indeed, and in fact it is carrying its first ever fruit. So I'm very grateful for that. Whether it'll ripen this year or not, who knows, but there we go. So quite a story attached to this fig tree. I purchased this probably about 6 or 7 years ago, something around those lines, from one of the bargain shops, and it was literally a little cutting like that, and it's proceeded to grow, you know, into a fairly decent sized tree, considering it's been in this 30-litre pot. It's into most of its life since it's been with me anyway. So what I've decided to do is to repot it into this pot here. Now, figs do benefit from a degree of root restriction because it's said that the plant will, you know, put its energy into fruiting earlier as opposed to, you know, creating loads of foliage. So that's a good thing, particularly, you know, if you're growing one in a relatively small to medium-sized garden such as myself. So that's what the plan is. Now, I'm not sure what variety this is. My guess is it's brown turkey because that's the most common one grown here in the UK. It does well in our climate. So you can see a hollyhock here that's growing in amongst the pot here. So what I'm going to try and do is to get this out of the pot. Now, it's not going to be an easy job because it's been in there some time and I'm expecting some very tight roots. So what we're going to do is to dig it out or get it out somehow. Right, so after a little bit of pushing and shoving, I've managed to get it out. So you can see the roots here, you know, they really have started, you know, to twine. So what I'm going to do is just get the old trowel here, not being too rough, and I'm going to just gently proceed to prise out some of these roots because I want to encourage the plant, you know, to grow into the additional growing medium that the larger pot will provide. Just a little bit of extra space. So I'm going to go around and just go and do that. Just to gently prise them. I mean, they really are, like, you can see how flat up against the pot they've been. There you go, so it's in the new pot. So what I'm going to do is just to put some growing medium down the sides here. I'm just going to be using a combination of compost that I've got kicking about and some garden soil. I'm going to leave the sort of the hollyhock. I'm going to leave that because I like what it looks like. I know really I should dig it all out to allow the plant to have the main nutrients, but me being me, I like things a bit different. So I think a hollyhock growing in amongst a fig is a lovely sight indeed. Lovely leaves, aren't they? So regarding fig trees, now they really do like a south-facing location. The extra warmth, you know, that a wall or a fence holding the heat will provide. And also they require a bit more watering than one may indeed think. So when you think of a fig, well, I think anyway, of like a Mediterranean sort of plant that can, you know, is from dry conditions. But, you know, they do appreciate watering. So what I normally do is give them, you know, a good generous amount of water, you know, every other day. When it was in that smaller pot, so something like I don't know, maybe 5 litres every other day, something like that. You know, that's what I was watering, and it really did. You know, it has, excuse me, has appreciated it and rewarded me with that first fruit. Okay, so fig trees need good levels of potassium, zinc, iron, magnesium and nitrogen. So it was indeed in a relatively small pot for the size of the, you know, for the size of the plant, but it was getting some nutrients out of it. And also I was guilty of not feeding it, so there you go, I will admit that. So what I've decided to do is put it in this bigger pot so I can get a bigger growing medium, and I'm going to start feeding the plant. I'm probably going to be getting hold of some, you know, what's like what do you call it, seaweed, because you know, seaweed fertilizer, I had good results using that in the past. I used to use calcified seaweed on some of my sort of older videos. You may see me using it there, but it had some good results with that. And of course, you know, some tomato feed would be good, so something like that. So yeah, you don't really want to be overfeeding your you know, fig trees, because if you do that, then the plant may you know, just continue to grow loads and loads of foliage at the expense of the fruiting. So you don't really want that. So, you know, it's a relative sort of science, if one will, when it comes to, you know, getting your best out of your fig tree, and one in which I intend to learn. Well, there we go. There indeed is the repotted fig tree. So there we go. I have repotted the fig tree. A nice large pot there, still providing root restriction, but yet enough room for the plant to now put out some extra root growth, more growing medium, in order for, you know, to enrich that with the feeds I spoke about earlier. And yes, I'm happy with the results. I'm going to put this where it's going to live, because, as you can imagine, it is now indeed relatively heavy when it comes to moving it. So there we go. Going to be putting some liquid feed onto it now. And regarding feeds, yeah, the compost is well underway, and I'm in the process of, you know, planning some purchasing of some good quality organic liquid feeds, or indeed feeds, you know, you add water to yourself. So spoke earlier a little bit about liquid seaweed, about some seaweed, and so that's normally kelp, K-E-L-P. And the other one I'm probably going to be getting hold of soon is some organic tomato feed, because, you know, these are quite sort of like relatively generic feeds that can be used for many things, and due to sort of time constraints and things like that, I can't overcomplicate things too much. So they're going to be coming soon. So loads more to do today. I'm going to put that video up later. Any questions, comments below, whatever. And of course, as always, if you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. See you next time.